The United States makes the UN work when it wants it to work. And that is exactly the way it should be, because the only question for the United States is what's in our national interest.
My name is John, and the International Criminal Court is now in session. It is June 23rd, 2024, and holy, what a day within Russia itself. Now, of course, we're going to talk about the developments within Ukraine, but I've heard reports that we had a couple of ugly attacks that had occurred overnight and also during the daytime too. But yeah, let's talk about it. So, first of all, in Crimea, there was an attack on a beach, like in Sevastopol, I think, which is the capital of Crimea itself, and basically like the main stronghold of Russian forces in the Black Sea. And what happened was, from what I understand, 5 people were killed and over 100 were injured when missile fragments from an ATACM struck like a beach, literally in Sevastopol. Now, the governor of Sevastopol himself said, and I quote, "Unfortunately, we currently have 124 victims, of which 3 are dead children and 2 dead adults." The Russian MOD, Ministry of Defense, said in a post on Telegram that Ukraine carried out the attack using U.S.-supplied ATACMs, operational tactical missiles equipped with cluster warheads. So they claimed that cluster ammunition was used in this thing. 4 missiles were shot down by the Russian air defense, but another deviated from its flight trajectory section due to the impact of air defenses, with the warhead exploding in the air over the city. Video footage posted on Twitter/X shows the aftermath of the strike, with wounded civilians seen being carried from the beach in stretchers before being loaded into vehicles. Beachgoers, some of them still in their swimwear, can be seen evacuating the area. And one of the victims killed in the strike was the daughter of Oleg Avrionov, deputy mayor of Magadan. Apparently, this man was, I guess, on vacation with his family until this whole thing happened, unfortunately. And yeah, I wonder, I don't know. I wonder how they're going to address this whole thing, because it seems as if no matter how many times they tend to cross these red lines with Russia, Russia just, I don't know, shows restraint. But also at the same time, though, what more can Russia really do other than maybe launching a big era WoW offensive to address these problems? I don't know. But it seems like the Russians already retaliate bad enough already. Especially now with the use of FAB 3000s in Lipsy, in Kharkov Oblast, in eastern Ukraine. But yeah, so, big tragedy in Crimea. And it's definitely going to piss off the Russians even more. Though, I don't know how many more punishments the Russians within Crimea can take before they really decide enough is enough. But yeah, that's a pretty devastating toll on the people living there. Next up, apparently we had attacks in Dagestan too. This one came as a shock to me. So what happened was, a priest was killed, and they also killed 6 police officers too. And they were all doing this in the capital of Dagestan, which is Kala. Sorry, I cannot pronounce this shit. Akla. I cannot pronounce it for shit. Sorry to all the Russian speakers out there. But what happened was, A priest was killed along with police officers, and a big gun battle ensued within the city. And from what I understand, 12 people were also wounded too in the whole schism. 4 militants have been killed. Nobody has claimed responsibility for the attacks, though some people within Dagestan, like the officials themselves, blame Ukraine and NATO for the whole attack. The Republic, though, has, let's be honest, they have a history with armed Islamist militias affiliated to Al-Qaeda and ISIS. In fact, a lot of guys from the North Caucasus region, which include Chechnya and Dagestan, all went to join ISIS or Al-Qaeda within Iraq and Syria to go participate in their jihad, even Afghanistan's Taliban. Kadyrov himself, who's the president of Chechnya, said, "What happened looks like a vile provocation and an attempt to cause discord between confessions." Now, as all of you know, Russia is a multicultural country like the United States, and I wouldn't be shocked that they're trying to use these divides, like ethnic and religious divides within the country itself, to I guess more division, if not civil war. But it seems as if things are normal within Russia. Nothing has collapsed, and they're going to get through it, even though these tragedies are quite obvious to many. Again, as I said, I don't think this is going to cause instability within Russia, but if anything, it's going to make them more pissed off at maybe Ukraine, even if Ukraine had nothing to do with this. Because, now, I honestly don't think Ukrainians had nothing to do with it. If anything, this was more of a lone wolf attack, if not maybe a direct ISIS attack or what. I don't know. But yeah, awful event, and hopefully justice is served on the guys who pulled off this really unusual attack. And again, this comes at the... I shouldn't say again. This comes actually around a similar time frame when the Crocus attacks happened in the Moscow suburbs. And a lot of what happened here looks kind of similar, though I will say, fortunately, though, less people died, though a priest was killed. And it's very unfortunate. Now, getting to Ukraine. Oh boy. So apparently I've heard rumors on the streets that Ukraine is going to attempt another big air-well offensive in the Zaporozhye Oblast within southern Ukraine and within Kharkiv Oblast too, probably to clear out these areas of Russian troops. Now, I have a big problem with what they're doing here, okay? This doesn't make any sense because, first of all, they've already tried an offensive in Zaporozhye, and it failed spectacularly, and they didn't even reach the first-line defense. Or, no, they didn't even break through the first-line defense. And even when they did, the Russians just pushed them back. And now the Russians are literally slowly but surely returning everything to what it was before summer 2023. And the Russians know they're going to try again, which already guarantees its failure. So I don't know why they keep trying. I just think it's a waste of time, money, resources, and manpower. It's getting ridiculous at this point. In the Velika Novosilka sector, no news coming out, though Russians are pushing north within Orezhayne. Staromaysky has pretty much fallen to Russia, though they have not really made any further pushes up north towards Makarivka, Storozhny, and Niskuchne. But yeah, they haven't really made any pushes there. In the Ugledar direction, the Russians are pushing westwards towards the 00532 road, which is the main supply route to Ugledar, which is the tiny town full with commie blocks here, and it's like the biggest stronghold for Ukrainians within southern Donetsk Oblast, other than Kharkov. Now, personally, I think the Russians are going to go for Lodyan before they go for Ugledar. And then after they take this and this road here, I don't even know if they're going to even need to take Konstantinivka. But after they take this area here, they're going to go for Ugledar and put an end to this nonsensical front once and for all, because Russians are definitely tired of it and they want it to end so badly. Now, after the fall of Georgievka to Russia, or Georgievka, Russians are now advancing in Maximilivka, which is the last major town before Kharkov. So there's definitely going to be a battle for Kharkov in the future, sometime later this summer, if not early fall, which should pretty much decide the whole southern Donetsk front. I don't know if there's going to be a battle of Velika Novosilka by that point, because whoever controls Kharkov basically controls the southern Donetsk Oblast, and effectively a way into Dnipropetrovsk Oblast too. There's like 2 roads that enter the province, by the way. Like right here and there. Like in the southwest corridor of Donetsk Oblast. The Russians are also reportedly advancing quite well within the direction of Karlovka. And it appears they're about to take this little village known as Yasno Brodivka. It's definitely going to fall to Russia. Only a matter of time. Ukrainians will leave. There's just nothing there to defend. Nothing. Ukrainians are still holding on to Novoselivka Persha. Now, I'm expecting that one to be a bit of a battle, though that will probably fall soon. Sokol is definitely going to fall to Russia soon. They took the fortifications up north, and yeah, they pretty much have the high ground over this area, so these 3 villages will fall sometime in the future. Then the next battle will be Proez and Vovchi, which will then continue on the journey towards not just Pokrovsk, but also Novohrivka and Seladove. The Russians have also reportedly have now completely taken the village of Novoalexandrivka, which is huge because now they'll be able to launch an attack towards the road here. There's like only like 1 village left, and after that it's done. And look, this is so small. Like, I don't know how much longer before it falls. I just cannot see it holding on for much longer. And then Russians are reportedly advancing up north in Kalinove here. And yeah. But anyway, we have breaking news since I made the last video last week. Major development on the front. The Russians have started effectively their offensive in the Toretsk direction. Toretsk / Now York or New York. I don't know why they name it New York. That's so stupid. But yeah, the village of Shumi, not town, but village of Shumi, not Sumy. Sorry, guys. Whoever wanted a bigger northern Russian wild fence up north. Has fallen to the Russian forces. So Shumi is like this heavily fortified, high ground area that gives the Russians a good view of Toretsk, which is this pretty big town located in central Donetsk Oblast. And it's like a huge, like, it's like a crucial crossroad area, which would go into Konstantinivka up north, which effectively leads to Slovyansk and Kramatorsk. So yeah, the Russians have taken Shumi like easily, like they just walked in, and they're on the brink of literally slashing the final 2014 era defensive positions, which will then, yeah, as I said, effectively clear everything, and then the hardest of the hard are all cleared out. Though I will say there's still obviously an uphill battle ahead because of Slovyansk and Kramatorsk. But yeah, it would be a huge moral victory if once they get these last 2014 positions out of the way. And it only further cements the reality that the Ukrainians are never going to get back the 2014 era lines. Like, it's just, I mean, the 2014 borders, let alone the 1991 borders, it's just never going to happen within all of Ukraine. That ship has sailed. But yeah, so Russians do got a challenge up ahead. Druzhba, Pivnichi, Zalizhny. They got a huge hill to climb up, and they also got all these commie blocks here, so it's going to be very difficult for them to get past, though the Russians are confident that they will do so, though it will come at a very heavy cost. I do wonder when the battle for New York will start, because Russians are literally not that far away from it. They're very close. Though it's a little bit industrial here, as you can see. Chasiv Yar. Apparently the Russians are about to seize complete control over the micro-canal district. This area here, Suryak hasn't painted it in red yet, but this area has now been taken by the Russians. And this is all that's left of Ukrainian-controlled canal district. So eastern Chasiv Yar has fallen to Russia. And yeah, the main battle for the town itself is going to begin soon. Though the fall of the canal district will definitely be a major victory for Russia within Chasiv Yar, which is a battle that I believe is far from over. And it could go as far as like August or September or something like that. I don't know. But it's definitely only at the start of its battle. In the Siversk direction, Russians have advanced north of Vinka. And they are apparently about to take the village of Rozdalivka. Now, Suryak, again, has not painted it. 50% of it in red, but apparently 50% of the village is under Russian control now. And then once that happens, then they got to get past these two villages here on this railway line, which are Pirizhny and Zvanivka, and then they're in Siversk. But all they actually need to do is get past this area here, these villages, and then they're already in Siversk. So the battle for Siversk may not be far too. Yeah, keep that in mind, even though I'm expecting this front to move very slow when compared to the others. In the Kupiansk direction, Russians are rumored to be advancing in Pishain, which basically is the gateway to the Oyskar River. And the Russians hope to cut this whole area in half. Now, I don't know how long it's going to be before they reach the Oyskar River, but it seems like as every day passes, it seems as if that day is coming faster and faster with each village falling. And not to mention that the battle for Stepova Novoselivka is not that far from starting too, which would then effectively give Russians a pathway closer to Kupiansk itself. And also, Deep State UA claims that the Russians are going to start an offensive on Borova. They say big arrows in this direction here. Though I will wait to, I'm a see it to believe it kind of guy, so I don't believe a single word out of them. But we shall wait and see. The Ukrainians attempted a counteroffensive in the direction of Glibok, but the attack has been repelled. They lost all their vehicles, which was around 5, I think. It was around 3 or 4 armored vehicles and 1 tank. They've all been blown up by the Russians, and apparently heavy casualties too. So the attack has failed, even though Ukrainians are thinking bigger with future counteroffensives in the future. Ukrainians have also entered the village of Staritsya. They're already in the center, though I don't know what they can really do on this front, because there's a literal water barrier here, which makes it difficult for them to supply their troops there. In the Volchansk direction, and this is the final one I'll discuss before I go, the Russians have stabilized the situation. The Ukrainians, despite their advances in the east, and despite the gray zone areas now being repainted blue, Russians appeared for now to have regained the initiative within Volchansk. They have taken the most southern tip of the northern parts of the town. And so the Russians now control a significant portion of Volchansk again, though they still got to take control of the aggregate plant before they can cut off Ukrainians for good from the southern portion of the town itself, which the Russians, I don't know if for sure they're going to have any intentions of crossing into because of the Volcha River, and I'm sure that's going to be very difficult for them to cross. Though I am expecting them sometime in the future. I mean, if they take control of northern Volchansk and have no further issues with Ukrainians up north, maybe they might increase the resources of the North Group, which would then allow them to launch further offensives maybe in other parts of Kharkiv Oblast. Though this all remains to be seen because Russians have not made an attempt to advance in any of these areas here. Though they could easily walk into them because, well, there's not much barriers up there, no fortifications. But yeah, Russians are advancing in Volchansk, though not by much. And there's also a certain amount of gray zone here. Russians are also FABing these commie blocks to death, though it doesn't really seem to be effective so far. But yeah, Ukrainians are on the brink of being encircled once and for all in Volchansk, though anything can happen, though, because the Ukrainians are trying to break the siege through this road here, in which there's a key high ground area here. Though I did hear Russians are building fortifications in these areas. But yeah. So anyway, folks, that's going to do it for today's update. So tell me in the comment section below what you think of the recent advances by Russia within Ukraine, but also your opinions on what happened in Crimea and Dagestan. So I hope all of you have a great day. Stay safe and peace out. Goodbye.